Season 2, episode 8. We are here back with another pick and roll. No
Yeah,
Chuck, no Frazier. And we'll get it started, man. Yeah, thumbs down. So last week, our podcast parlay, we put it together. We went 3-1. So our 1L was Chuck. Is Chuck banned from block of the week, man? Talk to me.
yeah. I like I told y'all in the group chat, man. You can't give back to back losers on lock of the week, and and still get a lock of the week. So if Chuck was on this episode, his segment would be suggestion of the week. No such thing as a lock from on Chuck.
Oh man! And shout out to Frazier. His was a deadbolt. I think his almost hit in the first quarter. Hunter Henry,
Yeah,
40 plus.
that was
You took
sharp.
you
That
took
was
the over.
sharp.
It was very sharp. You took the over in one of the games. I took Addison scared us there for a little bit, but he went up getting there.
Yep.
Moving on. Thursday night we had the Rams beat the Vikings. If you read the spread, everyone kind of, if you're a sharp better, you probably were on the Rams in that game. Do you think the Vikings are in trouble? Do you think it was just a tough game for them with Puka suiting up late, Cup suiting up? What do you think?
To be honest with you, I don't think they're in trouble, but I do think that they're getting a dose of coming back to reality. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think that they play exceptionally well the first 5, 6 weeks of the season, but I do think now that there's I don't want to say necessarily a blueprint on their defense, but if you notice in some of those wins, teams were playing better the second half against that defense. They would be down so much that they couldn't come back to win. Where I think the last 2 weeks that teams started fast and they ended fast, and I think that that defense isn't as stout as it was, and I think they'll falter the rest of the season. Big
Yeah.
loss too, losing Christian Darisaw.
Yeah, their left tackle's done, so that's rough on them, and Darnold should see the effect on that.
Yep.
I think McVay's a little bit of a snake with these. Last week he said Whittington's playing, he suited him up, didn't play him at all, 0 snaps. This week they activate Puka. They say he's on a snap count. I want to say he's a full go, but probably 70% of the snaps.
Right.
Um, and the Vikings probably were not prepared for that at all. They expected Cup to play all week, and then all of a sudden Puka's out there and catches probably the first 3 out of 4 passes, and you're like, wait, what? This guy's full speed now? So it
Right.
probably caught him off guard a little bit. So I agree. I don't think they're in trouble, but with that division, it's going to be tough for them the rest of the way. And then that leads us into the standings and the kind of the playoff picture, or early look at the playoff picture. I guess we would both agree Chiefs look like they're going to run away at the 1 seed at this point. I don't know if anybody's catching them unless they lose and Baltimore stays hot. What do you think? Who do you think slides up, slides down here in this AFC playoff picture?
Yeah, looking at it, man, I actually like it as is. If I'm being completely honest with you, right now you got the Broncos at 7, so you can maybe swap them out for some of the teams below there. Bengals are starting to play better football, so maybe swap them out for the Bengals. But for the most part, I think the AFC is pretty much intact. I do think the Ravens will win the North, so they'll move up a little bit higher. Pittsburgh, they should be a playoff team. Russell Wilson played better the second half against the Jets, but I'm still not so completely. Um, but yeah, I like the playoff picture as is in the AFC side.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. The only team that I guess we have to keep an eye on this week is Miami with Tua coming back. And of course,
Hmm.
the Bengals are starting to heat up. Them
Yep.
two teams usually get in there, but you never know, right? Question for you. Do you think the Chiefs have a real chance of going 17-0?
No, I think they will lose. I think they'll lose about maybe 2 games. But also, it's weird because they're 6-0 and Mahomes hasn't played good football.
Yeah, that's scary. That's what I'm
And
talking about.
it's like, man, so I get why you think they should. I guess we would have to look at their schedule too. I don't know who
I'll
they
pull
got
it up real
left.
quick. I'll pull it up. So we got we'll just kind of go through it real quick. At Raiders, Tampa, Denver, at Buffalo, at Carolina, Raiders again, Chargers, at Cleveland, Texans, at Pitt, at Denver.
Whew. Now that I've seen it, I would say that if they don't lose at Buffalo, man, 17-0 has a real possibility. Um,
Yeah, that's what I
uh,
was looking at earlier. When I was off stream, I was like, man, They
Yeah.
got a real chance to go at 17-0. Like there'll be some tight games in there, some of the division games, and Buffalo Texans. But looking at this as a whole, they look like they can go 17-0. And as you said, Mahomes isn't playing his best football, and they're undefeated right now.
Yep.
Moving on to NFC, right now the Lions unfortunately do look like the strongest team in the NFC. But what are your thoughts on this side of things?
Man, the NFC, man, the NFC is hell on wheels this year. I would
Mhm.
say that I do like most of the teams that are in the picture so far, but I don't think it's set by no means. I think that the NFC race will fluctuate one through seven actually from now until the rest of the season. Yeah, the Lions are definitely look like the top dog in the conference, but I'm still worried about their defense, especially without Hutch. So I think that once the NFC North race picks up, is all four teams still in the playoffs, or did Minnesota fall out after that loss last night?
They're all 4 in, which is crazy. NFC North, they can make history because it has obviously hasn't been done since they went to 7 spots in the playoffs.
Yeah, that would definitely be something. I don't see all four teams making it, but if they do, man, that would be crazy. Um, but yeah, I like the picture so far. The Eagles are in there, right?
The Eagles are at 8 right now. They're actually outside.
Okay, I think the Eagles. I think the Eagles win the division. Hopefully, I got them on a ticket. So hopefully, the Eagles. I think the Eagles win the division over the Commanders slightly because the Commanders are playing good football. And then other than that, yeah, I mean, I also expect the 49ers to win the West and take over Seattle.
Yeah, and interesting to say the least because even if the Rams somehow get back on track, they become a team you start looking at with them weapons. Their defense isn't very great. One good pass rusher, but outside of that, it's
Right.
kind of suspect. But definitely
Question for
interesting.
you before we move on: is Kyron Williams anytime touchdown the new C-Mac anytime touchdown?
It's looking like it. Him and Henry look like a deadbolt every week, man.
Every week,
It
right?
is nuts right now. The
Yeah,
volume them two get is crazy, man. And he can catch one too. They passed over as well.
for sure.
I don't want to go that far because C-Mac went on the craziest run we've probably ever seen. But these guys are getting there, man. The Kyrens and the Henrys,
But
they're starting to get
didn't
there.
they say Kyron has scored every week this season, and then dating back to last season too, right?
He's creeping up.
It
He's
was.
creeping up.
It's not. It wasn't as crazy as C-Max, but it's getting there for sure.
He's on a little run for sure.
Definitely.
I guess what will worry me there a little bit is maybe further in the season he might wear down a little. He didn't last year, but
Right.
that Corum, his backup, is pretty solid, and getting both receivers back, they may get the target a little more inside the 10.
Exactly.
Uh, Moving on, we'll get into the games this week. What we like, Tua is back. Not necessarily a game we wanted to cover, but Tua is back home versus the Cards. What do you think about this one?
Give me the Dolphins. I think that they'll have the juice of having Tua back against a Arizona defense that, I mean, from all accounts that I know about, it just isn't that good.
Mhm.
Uh, I like Miami to bounce back and get a W, especially because they need it, right? Buffalo's taking off in that division, um, and you just want to, if you don't win the division, you want to maybe have a chance at the wild card. I think Dolphins win here.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Cardinals defense is terrible. Miami has solid pass defense. Run defense is middle of the pack. Overall, Dolphins defense is middle of the pack, but Cards defense is just terrible.
Right.
If Tua is 80% of what his best version is, I think they just run away with this one relatively easy.
Agreed.
Next, probably one of the tougher games on the slate. My Birds at the Bengals. Talk to me.
Yeah, I don't think it's tough. Bengals stink to me. Um, I think I think that they beat some bad teams for their wins, and they
Oh.
barely did that. So give me the Eagles. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a blowout because you got to sometimes start slow, and the Bengals are fighting for their lives. But I do like Philadelphia to win this game.
Talk about week to week locks. Are Eagles the only team in the NFL not to score in the first quarter? Is that a lock at this point? People are going to start betting that. I said if I were to bet Eagles don't score this week in the first quarter, they'll probably put up 14. Plus, I don't like betting against my mob, but
Right.
I think I picked the Eagles wrong every week. so far that we've had them on our pod. So I'm gonna say I don't feel great about this game just because where the spread's at. I'm gonna take the Bengals here. I don't love it, but I'm gonna take a page out of your book, Vince. 12 o'clock tomorrow when they line up, I'm fucking screaming Eagles money
Right.
line,
It's
dog.
like you can say all
You
that if
know
you
it,
want.
yeah.
Yeah.
But on the pod, I'll pick the Bengals. Eagles just in a tough spot. They got the Jags next week, so the big game for them. Moving on, division game, big division game. We're probably on the same page here, but sneaky because Colts usually play the Texans tough. Colts at Texans.
Yeah, I think with the Texans losing last week to Green Bay and this game being in Houston, where I've stated multiple times this year, it's just hell to win in Houston. Um, Texans love their football. They love their sports in general. And I think it'll be too much for Anthony Richardson to overcome, and the Texans will win this one.
Yeah, we're pretty aligned on these games, and these games, I talked to you a little bit off air. They seem pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Texans as well. I don't want to elaborate too much on it, but
Right.
if I were to take points, just give me the Colts plus 4.5. But for my pick to win the game, give me the Texans. Ant did kind of flame them week one. He had a game week one. Richardson had a hell of a game week one. I don't know if he repeats that because, as you said, it's in
Richardson,
Houston.
no disrespect, but Richardson is terrible, man. He's bad. Like
He's looked bad.
if
He
he's
has
not
looked bad.
running, it's like it's just. And he did beat the Bears. He did beat the Bears, but that was more so, in my opinion. We didn't have nothing for Jonathan Taylor. Even when we clogged up the lanes, like JT was just different. And if you're talking spread, I think Texans cover too, but yeah, the Richardson stinks. I don't think.
Yeah, I think what helps them here in this spot is JT is back this week. So
Ooh,
as much as people look over Richardson, that does help relieve some of his
for
growing
sure.
pains in that offense. So
Great
that's
point.
kind of why I would like him with the points. But I mean, Texans are on paper they're the better team, and if they're gonna get this win, they're gonna be I believe 2 games ahead of everybody in the AFC South, and
Yep.
then with Nico coming back maybe in a couple weeks, so that's big for them. Next, this is kind of interesting. We got Bills at Seahawks. Seahawks had a major blowout win last week.
Against the
I like the
Falcons.
Bills here, man. I don't love it. We're not really doing spreads, but give me the Bills to win. I don't love the points because I think Seattle is just also a tough place to play at home with the 12th man. But Josh Allen's playing pretty good football. Seattle's pass defense is solid. Their run defense is suspect. Bills' run defense is suspect as well. So if you're a fantasy guy, look for Kenneth Walker and James Cook. Both them could have some big games here. But I like the Bills to win. Fish?
Yeah, this one is definitely tough. Seattle's weird, man. Like you lose to the Giants one week where you just look awful, and then you go into Atlanta where Atlanta's been playing well and you dominate. Um, I think I'm gonna ride the trend with them not playing as good as they have away as they have at home, and I'll take the Bills as well in this one. But I'd like you said, I don't know about the points in
Yes,
this one.
it's not comfortable because every once in a blue moon, Allen has them games where you're like, bro, what are you doing, dude?
Right.
So this could be one of them games. This is the game. This is the interesting game. Another one. We got your Bears at the
Got Bears.
Commanders. Is Jaden Daniels playing? Game time decision for Jaden Daniels. Talk to me.
Yeah, I think the Bears they're gonna pull this one out. Shocker, right? Coming from me, but
Right.
I am worried that we are missing our starting safety in Jaquan Brisker. He's still recovering from the hit he put on that Panthers tight end. We also don't have our nickels corner and Kyler Gordon. But defense travels, right? And I think the defense will. This will be the best defense that either Jaden Daniels or Marcus Mariota will face. So far this season, and I think we pull it out. I don't like the points. I think it's at 3. I can't see, but
Yeah, 3.
yeah, it started at 1 when I think they thought that Jaden Daniels was going to play, but I like Bears to just win this one. I don't know necessarily about the points, but I think the defense travels. They get about 2 takeaways, whether it's a fumble or a pick, and win the game.
Do you think Jaden plays?
No, I don't think so. I think that the Bears defense is a defense that you definitely don't want to risk it, right? You're ahead in the division. It's a long season. Um, I would think that if it was some playoff implications or maybe a divisional game where it was kind of like, hey, one things could go one way or the other, then he would definitely play. But in my opinion, I think they're going to sit him out and start Marcus Mariota again.
Yeah, as I said, we're pretty aligned on all this. Before I elaborate on the game, they should not suit up Jaden Daniels versus defense. You're just asking for it with a rib injury. Bears have proved they have a really good defense. And if you're looking around the division, Eagles are at Bengals, Dallas is at Niners. So if there's a week, you can look around and say, okay, these teams might lose as well. So us taking a loss won't hurt as much. They're not going to do that, but
Right.
don't suit up Jaden this week. Just put Mariota out there. They're probably going to lose. If Jaden plays, I think Commanders win this game. I don't think he does play. If Mariota's out there, give me the Bears in a blowout. I think you guys will destroy them if Mariota's out there. Defense is for real. Not much more to say, and it might be in the back of Caleb Williams' head, like you said. I haven't got Rookie of the Week yet. All right, I'm gonna show you in Washington.
For sure, for sure. And I guess last thing I'll say on that is, man, I want Jaden to play, right? Like one
Oh,
versus
I know it.
two, and I mentioned in the pod before, I honestly felt like Caleb deserves some of those Rookie of the Week. So I would love for him to play, but I also don't want any excuses. So either way, it's fine.
Yeah, for sure. And our last game we're going to go over, we just had to put it out there, even though they haven't looked as great this season. Cowboys at Niners, Sunday Night Football. Who you got?
San Francisco 49ers, like every other time they play the Dallas Cowboys and beat their ass, like just smacking that ass all up and down the field. The Cowboys, they refuse to add weapons in the offseason, whether it's salary cap restrictions, whether it's just if whether I have a Dallas homie who always said, Dallas Cowboy fan who's a friend of mine, who always states, like the Cowboys, we draft our players and we get homegrown talent, and that's true. But now it's biting you in the ass because you only got one threat at receiver, old ass running backs, banged up offensive line, banged up defense, and so same script from the previous years. Give me the Niners in a blowout.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised this money's 50-50 here. That just shows you that's probably the Dallas fan base with their hopes high. And I'm with you again here. I think all our picks are the same. Give me the Niners here.
Yep.
Not much of a surprise. They're just a better football team at this point in the season. And then who knows what happens with Dallas? I haven't looked at their schedule after this, but they're going to have to go on some kind of run if they want to make the playoffs.
Yep.
Not necessarily comfortable with the points here, but I think Niners can cover the spread. It wouldn't surprise me.
Love the points.
If Dallas, I'm just thinking like if Dallas is down 10 late, that's Dak time. We'll go down 10 and a backdoor cover with 40 seconds left in the game, and then you're looking at it like, come on, man. So very short pod, but we'll talk about locks of the week. What is your lock of the week? We got to keep our heater going, Vince.
Yeah, so I'm going to put out two, and I might have to come back to the second one after you go. But my first one for sure is give me the Philadelphia Eagles and Cincinnati Bengals over. I think the Eagles have been not the best defensive team, especially when they go against a team that can move the ball. And as we all know, the Bengals just get lit up every week unless they're playing somebody like Danny Dimes. So I like the over in that game. And then let me come back to my second lock. I'm trying to look at the list and remember what it was.
All right. And ironically, we weren't going to talk about this game, but my lock of the week is Miami -4.5. I think to just get back on track, and Reek has been kind of angry. They're losing. I think they're just going to blow out the Cardinals, man. There's nothing more to it. Their defense is horrible. And if you're a DFS guy, Jalen Waddle is 5,400, which is actually insane. A-Chain 6,200, and Reek is only 7K. With that being said, I think Miami runs away with this, and I'll let you get to your second lock.
Yeah, and I don't know how I forgot it that quick. Give me the San Francisco 49ers spread.
That's
my second lock of the week. Over by halftime, in my opinion.
Over by halftime. So we put these three in. It's a little 6-1 parlay. Not bad. I could see that hitting for sure. Not necessarily lock for me, but another play I do like is Cole Kmet over 36.5 yards. Washington is the worst probably bottom three worst team versus tight ends, and 36-5 seems relatively low with how they played against tight ends this season.
Yep. And not a lot for me, but I think the trend continues for the past few weeks. And give me AJ Brown anytime touchdown, man. I think
AJ, let's see what the
receivers
odds are on it. What
plus
we got?
140, which I'm kind of shocked about. I
Woo,
love
that
those
is.
odds.
So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna revert back to this game a little bit, just because it's my mob. When I'm looking at this on paper, and I know I picked the Bengals in my head, and maybe I'm being a fan. You could correct me. In my head, on paper, I'm like, how is this team going to beat us? I don't know how they're going to stop the Eagles.
Right.
And the Eagles defense has kind of turned it around the past few weeks. The rookie Quinyon Mitchell has looked good. Not
And the
saying
corner from Iowa, right?
yeah, and Cooper DeJean has looked good playing kind of slot and safety role here and there. But I'm not saying Quinyon Mitchell can hold Chaser or Higgins because they're phenomenal receivers. But just from an on paper standpoint, I know the Bengals have a solid O line this year. Eagles pass rush been questionable. Outside of that, I'm just looking at this game like, how are the Eagles going to lose this game? That's why I just kind of played it by the spread and took the Bengals. Am I being biased saying on paper the Eagles look like such a better team than them?
Yeah, no, you're not being biased. I mean, the Bengals offense, you can maybe make a case that their offense is on par or just similar, but then when you include the offensive line, you include Barkley, it's like not really.
Yeah, yeah, sort of.
And then on the defensive side, yeah, you guys haven't been a top 3 or 5 defense, but you guys have turned it around since those first few weeks. And whereas the Bengals, people go up and down the field on the Bengals, so
Right.
I don't think it's a biased take. On paper, you guys are a better team for sure.
Hopefully they can pull it out.
It's
Well,
also any given Sunday, right? And Bengals are fighting for their lives, kind of. So, and
yeah,
they're at home, so that's the one thing I would think about is like they're fighting for their lives, and the Eagles. I wouldn't say they're necessarily fighting for their lives. They're in the thick of an NFC East divisional race, but
yeah.
it wouldn't be
Good
the end of
point.
the world if you lose a out of conference game here.
Good point. Good point. Well, I don't have much more. You got any basketball locks, or you got nothing right now?
Oh no, I don't got
I didn't.
nothing. I don't
I
got
didn't look
nothing
at
bad.
basketball, so I had to throw it out there. So if you got anything?
I don't got anything, but I'll put some of my early NBA thoughts out there in terms of gambling. Hammer, hammer, hammer. Orlando at home. They were one of the better defensive teams at home last year, and they've now added. They added KCP, who isn't some stud defensive player, but he's a veteran who gives them more shooting. And Orlando's going to play hard every night. So you don't if you see them and they need a big spread to cover or something like that, I'm not saying they're going to cover it all the time, but more than likely, if they're playing a team that's lesser, they're going to cover those spreads because they just play hard all 4 quarters. Um, and also, I would say bet against the stinkers, man. What I like to call the stinkers of the NBA. And so far, I would tell you that the Nets are definitely one of those teams that are going to be the stinkers of the NBA. And the who was the other team? Scroll back up, G. Oh, now I think the Pistons are definitely going to just be another team that loses a lot of games.
Every
They
year.
might they might not they might not get blowed out as bad because they do have some young pieces and young players like to play hard. But Pistons and Nets are definitely going to be a team that just you can bet against them almost every night.
Good points. Good points for sure.
Yep.
Actually, looking at this, it's ironically enough, we got Houston at the Spurs. If I were betting on this, I would actually like the Spurs money line here. They're due. Wemby's due for a big game, and they don't really have anybody for him. Jabari's not going to be able to hold him. So I'm
Yep.
giving an NBA pick today. Not a lock or anything, but if I'm giving a pick, give me the Spurs home money line.
Outside of basketball, I don't. It was close last night, and I said I was betting the over every game. It pushed because I only got it today. I got it at 9 instead of the 8. But the Freddie Freeman home run last night, if you had it at 8 point grand slam, I'm sorry. If you had it at 8.5, man, what a win, right? If you had the over.
Unbelievable.
But I'll put this out there. I'm not gonna say it's a lot, but I like the over almost every game this series. I think that Gary Cole pitched. He was pitching a gem last night, and Jack Flattery to the point where it was fishy last night. But I think the bats are going to wake up completely now after that, especially after that grand slam from
Yeah,
Freddie Freeman.
a lot of runners were left on too, so a couple base hits, and that's coming in a home plate.
Yeah, so
One more
I wouldn't put too much on it, but I love the over in the World Series again tonight and the rest of the series.
one more thing with NBA, if you're a believer of futures, I mean Boston looks like they're going to probably go back to back. Just go ahead and take Tatum plus 500 Finals MVP right now.
Yep.
If you're a believer in futures, I don't think Jaylen Brown would get that again, but that's all I got, man.
That's all I got. Hey, it's a pick and
Talk
roll
soon.
edition. Talk soon.
You know it.